This is episode 1 of the What on Earth series, where we explore surprising, confusing, and often overlooked stories of history. And today we ask, what on earth were German immigrants doing fighting in the American Civil War? Why did so many Germans immigrate to the United States in the 1800s in the lead up to the American Civil War? Which side did they fight on in America's bloodiest conflict? And what did they think about slavery and emancipation? Let's check it out. To understand why Germans came to America, we have to picture life in German states around 1840 and 1850. This is not yet a unified Germany. It was a patchwork of kingdoms, duchies, and city-states. Think Prussia, think Bavaria, think Saxony. And life was tough. Potatoes rotting in the ground, too many mouths to feed, small farmers, weavers, shoemakers, many ruined by industrial collapse. And as if poverty wasn't enough, politics was worse. Censorship everywhere, police spies at taverns, princes demanded obedience and taxes while their people starved. A liberal newspaper, the Deutsche Zeitung, wrote in 1847,
Die Menschen hungern, die Felder bringen nicht hervor, und dennoch fordert der Furcht Steuern, fordert der Beamte Gehorsam. Das Volk sehnt sich nach Freiheit und Brot.
The people starve, and the fields bring forth nothing. And yet the prince demands taxes, the official demands obedience. The people long for freedom and for bread. Then came 1848. Paris, Vienna, Berlin, the crowds wanted freedom. And in the German states, people demanded a free press, constitution, and national unity. The leaders? People like Friedrich Hecker and Karl Schurz, dreamers who thought Germany could become democratic, like America. But in 1849, the revolutions failed. Kings crushed the uprising. Thousands fled into exile. These political refugees became the famous 48ers, or as many Germans call them, the 48er. They had lost in Europe, but America could be their second chance. They brought both bitterness and hope across the Atlantic.
Exile leader Friedrich Hecker later wrote, Wir haben für Freiheit gekämpft in Deutschland und wir sind gefallen, aber wir geben den Traum nicht auf. In Amerika lebt die Republik und dort werden wir sie verteidigen.
We fought for liberty in Germany, and we were defeated, but we did not abandon the dream. In America, the Republic lives, and there we will defend it. This wasn't just poetry, it was a to-do list. Between 1830 and 1860, over 1.5 million Germans came to the United States. By 1860, they were the largest immigrant group. They built strongholds in places like St. Louis, Missouri, Cincinnati, Ohio, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and New York City. They opened breweries, schools, and newspapers. They brought Christmas trees, kindergarten, and music clubs. But they also brought politics. And here's where German Americans weren't all the same. The 48ers tended to be idealists, anti-slavery, pro-union. Conservative Germans were often Catholic, monarchist-leaning, or just wanting to stay out of politics. Northern Germans, often more Protestant, more abolitionist. Southern Germans, some integrated into the slave economy, though many resisted conscription. So even within the Germans, there were family feuds brewing. A Milwaukee paper, Der Seebote, declared in 1856, Wir sind nicht nur Gäste in Amerika, wir sind Bürger. Und als Bürger tragen wir Verantwortung für das Schicksal dieser Nation. We are not only guests in America, we are citizens. And as citizens, we bear responsibility for the fate of this nation. But how did Germans get along with their non-German neighbors in America? Short answer, sometimes like best friends at a beer garden. Sometimes like rivals fighting over the last schnitzel. In many cities, Germans stuck together in tight-knit communities. Cincinnati's over the Rhine, New York's Klein Deutschland, and Milwaukee's German neighborhoods were filled with bakeries, churches, schools, and newspapers. Still, Germans brought plenty of things that made non-Germans smile, like Christmas trees, kindergartens, and beer gardens, and even the Easter Bunny. Yes, the Easter Bunny is a German immigrant too. Who knew?
Die Illinois Stadtzeitung reminded readers in 1855, Wir Deutsche haben hier nicht nur unsere Sprache und Sitten bewahrt, wir haben auch unsere Nachbarn bereichert, mit Liedern, mit Schulen und mit dem Weihnachtsbaum.
We Germans have not only preserved our language and our customs here, we have also enriched our neighbors with songs, with schools, and with the Christmas tree. Of course, not every interaction was caroling around the Christmas tree. The rise of the Know Nothing Party in the 1850s fueled anti-immigrant hostility. In Cincinnati in 1855, German immigrants actually built barricades and even rolled out a cannon to defend their neighborhood against nativist mobs. Think about it. Your neighbors bring over baked bread, and you bring over gunpowder. Different styles of hospitality. And yet, Germans integrated faster than many expected. By the 1850s, politicians were actively campaigning in German. Irish and Germans were intermarrying in Catholic communities, and German beer gardens became hotspots for Americans of every background. In the end, Germans weren't just keeping to themselves. They were reshaping what America meant. One Christmas ornament and one beer stein at a time. So how many fought? When the war began in 1861, Germans showed up with rifles and ideas. Over 200,000 German-born soldiers joined the Union Army, plus another 250,000 first-generation German immigrants. That's nearly 10% of Union forces. Why so many in the Union? Two big reasons. Germans opposed slavery. To them, it looked like the same old aristocracy they'd fled in Europe, or almost a quarter of all foreign-born Union troops. For comparison, only about 3,500 to 10,000 served in the Confederacy, often conscripted, and many deserted. No wonder General Robert E. Lee allegedly stated, "Take the Dutch out of the Union, and we could easily whip the Yankees." Dutch here meaning Germans. Apparently, even generals are confused by their accents. A soldier in the German regiment wrote in 1862, "Wir kämpfen nicht allein für Amerika. Wir kämpfen für die Freiheit aller Menschen. Wenn die Sklaverei bleibt, bleibt auch die Tyrannie." We are not fighting only for America. We were fighting for the freedom of all people. If slavery remains, tyranny remains as well. That's a powerful statement. And honestly, it could have been a recruitment poster. So what did Germans think about slavery? Many 48ers compared slaveholders to the princes of Germany. Karl Schurz said,
Die Sklavenhalter sind nicht anderes als die Fürsten Deutschlands. Sie hassen Freiheit und sie fürchten Gleichheit.
The slaveholders are nothing more than princes of Germany. They hate liberty and they fear equality. Not every German immigrant was an abolitionist, though. Some just wanted the war over. But overall, Germans leaned anti-slavery, with the 48ers leading the charge. After 1865, it's continued shaping America. They built schools, churches, businesses, beer gardens, and music halls. They joined labor movements. But tensions lingered. Some Americans saw Germans as too foreign, too stubborn with their language. Yet, Civil War service gave them credibility. They weren't just newcomers. They were soldiers, and they were Americans. So let's recap. Why on earth did Germans fight in the American Civil War? Because they wanted freedom, because they wanted to preserve the Union, and because they believed slavery was incompatible with democracy. Over 200,000 German immigrants fought for the Union cause, and their story shows how immigration, revolution, and freedom are tied together. This was episode 1 of the What on Earth series. Next time, we'll ask, why on earth did Italians leave beautiful Italy for the rough streets of the Americas? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Ray, and thanks for watching Legal Aliens.